Good morning, good evening, and whatever your time zone may be. Welcome to Toonkind 12 SPS. FPS. I am Red, and my friend here is Whis. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm here playing a little boy today. I've got a little Rye stage hand today.
And I am playing a good old ASMR friend, Lousijan. I am still struggling to pronounce their name. One day, I'll be able to pronounce it properly. Maybe today is that day.
We'll find out. Um, what's your tall, lanky lad up to today? Anything exciting?
Somewhat. I would say today it's a little bit of a overcast day. They wouldn't be too terribly happy with that. But well, it's recovering from overcast. It's the sun's finally peeking through.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, they are currently outside of their tent. They are looking up at the sky like they usually do, hair slightly flowing in the wind. The tent, however, is kind of set up like almost in the middle of a sidewalk, but not quite. It's it's not where a tent should be, but
Mm-hmm.
no one seems to be yelling at him yet.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, I think I might do the first roll of the day, and I'm going to do a perception. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to do it at disadvantage because I think that's funnier. Yeah, there we go. What's your perception? Plus
My
5.
perception,
No,
passive.
rise.
Oh, rise. Okay.
Yeah. So it's still a 13. So I'm going to say he doesn't walk straight into the back of the tent. But
Oh,
I think he is there is this moment where you're looking up at the sky and kind of maybe willing the clouds to move just a little bit more. And then there's a pause and then a what's this doing here from the other side of your tent.
you the entity, they blink and they turn not too quickly, and they turn towards the direction of the voice. And almost naturally, they kind of just like instinctually look down. This this man this entity is tall. They're at least 7 feet,
Mm-hmm.
almost maybe like a 7 foot two.
Yep.
So they look down towards the voice, wherever the voice may be.
Okay. Um. Now, does this tent have ropes or is it all canvas tension?
It seems to be Canada's tension.
All right.
A very sand-blasted exterior canvas,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, there doesn't seem to be any obvious ropes.
All right. Great. Okay. So in that case, when you turn and look on the other side of your tent, look down. There is this 3'9" toon standing relatively close to the canvas of your tent, like sort of near where it's pegged into the ground. He's sort of looking at it very bemusedly. Let's just like, what? Like he didn't walk into it. He did see it before he collided, but he's now just sort of standing there going, tent in the sidewalk? What? How is this done?
Ah, that's my tent.
Oh, sorry. I don't think I tripped over it or anything. Uh, People don't normally set these up where people walk.
I guess that's right. They do walk here occasionally.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't really expect to see a tent. I mean, other people might have been expecting it even less. And you know, there are like high-speed chases and things that happen, especially in Villestown. There's lots of detectives and phantom thieves in Villestown, so, like, high-speed chases are normal, and if you're blocking traffic, you're gonna have someone run into it.
Well, I see. I guess I guess both the roads and the sidewalks are not good places to be. This is going to make things a little trickier. And then you see them kind of like look around a bit, but not. They look up first, and then they kind of look around. It's like they're trying to find a clearing, but with all the massive buildings and occasional trees and rushing roads everywhere, there doesn't seem to be a too terribly decent spot. So they look back and then they sigh a little bit and they look a little sad and they're like, okay, well, this might be interesting to move. Say, is there supposed to be like a chase here then?
Oh,
I
I don't know if there's one scheduled. Do they schedule these things? I know that
I
some of the Phantom Thieves have like a routine. I don't know about all of them, but it just what I mean in general. It's you probably want to put your tent in somewhere like a park.
I I guess, but then I don't get any customers.
What do you
And
mean?
it's just
You get loads of people walking through parks. Also, customers? Are you a shop?
oh, the sign's on the other side and he kind of like he gestures to the small entity to kind of like scooch around the tent.
Oh,
And on the other side, there's this kind of like a tacked on sign, and on it it says Stellar Advice in common. What other languages do you know?
He also knows. Let me see. It is on your proficiency list for some reason. He knows Common, Grolix, and Druidic, and Network Speech. None of which I feel are going to be written down. Oh, Druidic maybe.
Okay. Uh, Actually, I've what you see there, then is you see common stellar advice. You see something that looks very rockish, very like harsh, but not too harsh.
Mm-hmm.
And then something that looks a lot more like scripture and flowing, but it kind of just it's very flowy, but too flowy, and it doesn't seem to completely work.
Uh-huh.
But that's all you can really read off of the sign. And you're like, well, as you see, I'm Lousijan, and this is my, I guess, place of business and also house. I give advice.
oh. What kind of advice?
Uh, Various. Sometimes people come to me and they ask me questions and I answer them. Sometimes people come to me and they're like, "What's going to happen in like a week?" And I tell them that. Well, more of I ask the stars the question and the stars tell me and then I tell them and then they kind of look at me funny. But they usually listen. And I guess I also deal with strange occurrences.
Would you like to roll an insight?
Oh boy, I would love to. But question,
Yep.
is passive or like an actual insight check?
An active one, yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I remember this correctly. Insight. Ooh, that's a low one for you.
That's okay.
Even with everything.
That's all
Huh.
right. Well, the tune in front of you does not have a whole lot in terms of facial expressions. Like his head is a ball with an eye on it, and that's kind of it. So, it is tricky if you're not really familiar with tunes like him on how to really pin down his emotional state. However, with an 11, you can still get one particular thing. When you said the words "I ask the stars," his little blue eye kind of did turn into a star, and he's like, "Wait, you can talk to stars?" Gasp! That's kind of the vibe that you're getting from him. It's like shocked delight. He's not hiding
Oh,
this at all.
oh, fascinating. What is it with people I meet and stars? Do you, okay, strange question. Um, are you a warlock?
Me? No, no, I'm not a warlock.
No, okay. All right then. Just checking something off the mental list. I, your eyes change into a star.
Oh,
Fascinating.
did they?
And he kind of pats at it a little bit, and it's turned round again.
I'm. Well, I mean, I am a toon, so like, sometimes things just happen. I mean, my eye does change color if I'm upset or sick or stuff, but yeah, sometimes I suppose it would.
Interesting. As you see, as they crouch down, which they kind of have to at this point in order to get like properly look at you straight faced,
Mm-hmm.
you can see their eyes, and at the moment they're like a reddish. It's almost like a if you've seen pictures of supernova. It's
Mm.
kind of like that, but calmer
Oh yeah.
and a little bit sparkly. And they just kind of like tilt their head and just kind of look at your eye with like a curious like expression on their face. They're fascinated.
um, he doesn't seem to react to the crouch or anything, and he's not like going to comment on the physical appearance of this person because that's kind of rude. Um, but he just sort of tilts his head to the side a little bit and goes,
No, I'm not. I'm not a warlock, but my family and the stars have a bit of a history. Here, see?
and he sort of turns around, and on the back of his coat, he's got a big yellow star on the back of his coat.
Oh, is this a religious or just in general?
I think religious is probably the very last word you would use to describe my family. One of the favorite phrases of some of them is, where you, instead of saying I swear to God or swear to the gods or whatever, they say they're swearing at the gods. That they're not, most of them aren't particularly fond of gods. But no, it's just a thing. Um, and my mom would be much better at explaining this than me. But there's stories that the old stagehands who aren't around anymore are up there,
And he just sort of looks up.
as stars.
As he points up, Lousijan also looks up,
Mm.
and they just stare at like the clearing up day for a bit, look down, and then they kind of like stand up for a second, and they go do something with the tent. And I guess as you look at the tent, you realize that there's like a telescope sticking out of the tent,
Hmm.
and he just reaches up with his arms and like kind of wiggles the telescope free, and then looks again through the telescope, roughly where you were pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And he
This was
sits
a
there for a second.
this is a general gesture from Rye, but okay.
Yeah, they still gonna do it.
Fair
It's just
enough.
how they, and they're like, huh, stagehands, stagehands,
Mm-hmm.
like the ones in plays.
Yeah, lots of my family do that work, and we took the name on because it was fitting.
Oh, I mean, I guess that's. I mean, I guess that's kind of how I put together my surname. though I wouldn't say from familial terms. And as he says like familial terms, his eyes kind of like he kind of pauses as he says familiar terms. And he like you can see him. They're visibly struggling to think of something.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
they shake it off. And you're like, "Ah, I see. So you essentially you do stage hand things in plays, and then when you pass on, you go into the stars?"
Yeah, more or less. My sister
Huh.
did a lot of reading. She said it was what was it? An occupational by name, I think is what she called it. She does a lot of reading, and she tells me things sometimes, and I forget a lot of them because I'm so busy usually. But I think that's what she called it. Same for people whose last name is Smith, for like being a blacksmith. Yeah.
Oh, oh, okay. I see. Okay, I understand. They nod. They may or may not understand, but we'll find out later.
I mean,
So,
I've never done stagehand work myself. I mean, I'm a junior detective. That's what I do for work. But I mean, I also put on puppet plays, so that's kind of play related, but it's not the same because you don't really have a
oh, a detective.
stage and lighting and stuff. Maybe I should get one of them to take me on a stagehandingness sometime. I'll have to ask
Apprentice?
Mom or Uncle Hattie. Uncle Hattie might know. I'll ask.
Oh, you're also a detective.
Oh, well, I'm a junior detective. I'm working with my mom, who is a fully qualified and proper and very impressive detective, but I'm still learning. So I don't have very many cases on my own. I don't technically have a license yet, so I can't make like
Uh,
arrests or stuff like that. So I have to kind of do all of my sleuthing and my detecting, and then I have to go back to my mom and explain everything, and then she'll be like, right, yep, that sounds good. Then we go and arrest the picnic who did it. But when I get my license, then we have the authority to arrest people myself, which will be weird but cool.
I see, and it's fascinating. They seem to they seem to kind of accept at this point that this person who is most likely possibly in their mind younger than them could one day just arrest them. And that is for the age that Lousijan is, a very strange thought. I see. So that means, does your mother run a bakery?
No, she runs a detective agency.
Oh, a detective agency. I see. I've met another detective, and the word it wouldn't be handler. I guess their partner, their fellow detective. They run a bakery. But there's
Oh.
also a lot of detectives, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
lot of them in Villestown. I mean, I'm just visiting. I don't actually live here, but a lot of the other detectives that I know do live here.
I see. I guess that explains the weird periods of no crime, followed by the extremely baffling periods of crime, or weird events. Like the one time someone came into my tent and was acting very scared and very nervous, and they asked me about a very strange thing, actually. They're saying someone was going to get them, and they were like really scared and really panicked, and they wanted me to like ask the stars. They wanted me saying, "Hey, when am I going to get got?" And I wasn't sure what they meant by that. So I asked the stars, and I got an answer. And it was very weird.
Oh.
Uh, they asked me once I was done. It's a little bit of a spectacle, honestly, but it kind of sells the point. And they asked me, so they like to ask me when it was going to happen. And I told them to duck. And they did. It was a very weird sensation, honestly. Rhubarb and cream. I I've never tasted those two together before.
Did you get hit by a pie that was meant for the person who was asking for help?
I think so, because after that they looked extremely relieved, thanked me profusely, and then left.
Oh, well, at least it was only getting got that kind of way.
I I would guess so, but I guess that's kind of explains the things I do. Well, the thing I would say I'm good at. I can do other things as well, but that's the thing I like to do the most is I ask questions and I look at people and I answer or try to answer problems. And sometimes ask stars and kind of deal with fate and how the stars tell me information. They told me to come here actually.
To Villestown or to this piece of Villestown specifically?
Villestown.
Hmm.
They've been a little quiet ever since I appeared here, but given my first day was eventful, I think the answer that I got from them was keep doing what you do here, and things will make sense.
Yeah,
And they're slowly making sense.
it can be like that. Sometimes you get stuck in a plot and you've got no idea what's going on, but then it all makes sense at the end. They can be like that. They can be a bit tricksy sometimes.
Yeah, plot. The other fellow talked about plot a bit too.
Right. You're a real kind. You wouldn't have plots by default, would you?
No, I wouldn't. Though I do understand other things. They show me their hammer space. They have made a good sandwich actually. They also explained to me properly the whole what was the thing? But it's the thing where you talk to somebody and you look around and suddenly everything's different. It's that transition period.
Oh, right. A scene transition. Yeah.
Yes, that. They explained that to me, which made a lot more sense after the whole desert wandering. But do you have questions?
Um. Well, I mean, I was kind of just. So, I mean, I'm in the middle of trying to work out a case. Uh, and so I
Oh,
was just going for a walk. Thought I'd go and see my family who does live in Villestown to see if any of the clues that I already have would sort of click together in a way that makes sense. Because I'm trying to do it by myself rather than ask my mom for help on this one. Kind of gotta get used to doing that. So
mhm.
wasn't in any particular. Uh, I wasn't in the market for asking for help. But maybe I could help you find a less trip overable spot for your tent where you'll also get customers.
That might be good. And they kind of look back at the tent and they open the flap for a moment, they go walk inside. It's pitch black. Do you have dark vision?
He does have dark vision, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fun. So it's very pitch black. You can tell that the inside of the tent, from what you can glimpse from it, is like actually like painted or like something inside the tent is purposely making the walls black. And you can see like the shapes of some items and you can see like a faint, slightly faint glimmer on Lousijan's skin.
Hmm.
Seems to be from all those sorts of silvery flecks that you can kind of tell from their body.
Hmm.
And they shuffle around. You hear like something's moving. They walk out. The telescope is now on their side, and you see them with what looks to be a practice hand basically wrap up the entire tent, disassemble it, and kind of like squish it onto their like kind of onto like a back. And this is done in like 2 minutes. This
Ryan
is
is going
someone.
to just sit there and watch, and when they're done, he's just going to give an appreciative little clap.
I guess looks a little bit of a show. I've done this for a very long time.
Looks
A
it.
very.
That's the kind of stuff like I'd expect from a toon, like just sort of be able to grab the top and then pull it down and then fold it into a suitcase or something. I don't think I've ever set up or put down a tent, so I'm glad you had that handled because I don't know that I would be able to help you at all.
They chuckle a bit. It's not that bad. I mean, this particular tent was kind of made to be popped up and taken down easily. There's a little bit of magic weaved into it that allows it to kind of be easily taken down. It was a bit of
That's
an
cool.
expensive investment, but it's very useful when you're wandering deserts for like 20, 30, a very long time. So where exactly would be a decent place that has access to the stars and maybe not so much in the middle of the sidewalk and
Hmm.
doesn't get flying pies or weird devices that get dropped by running people?
Well, I mean, I can't guarantee a lack of pie,
Mhm.
because this is like, well, we have a very booming pie industry. But let me think, a good place to put your tent. I'm gonna roll him a survival, I think.
Okay.
All right, not your best, but you don't live here, so that's fine. 17 is still pretty dang good. He's gonna think for a bit and tap his little twiggy finger against his chin, and then go,
Okay, there are lots of parks in Villestown, but I think I
Mhm.
know one that would be really good. I think I've seen them put up like a market there every so often, so they have like lots of merchants come and lots of people around. So maybe that would be a good spot. And it's a big park too, so there aren't a lot of buildings around, so you should have a pretty good view of the sky from there. And it's
I
this way.
see.
Let me show you. It's over here.
then he's gonna start trotting down the street.
Uh, Lousijan is going to chuckle. He's going to take a step. They're going to stop for a moment. I have the strange feeling that we're about to. We'll see. And he starts to follow you.
I suppose now we have two options. One, they could walk and talk, or we could do a scene transition.
Either it's one of the two, but no one last time someone started a scene transition, they tried to like break out of it. So actually, I'm gonna do just a free roll of
Sure.
1d2, and I'm gonna see if they try to do it. Nope, not that one. Let's see. One, they stop the scene transition, and two, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course they do. Of course they do. So you're gonna see them follow you,
Mm-hmm.
and roughly like halfway through this like scene transition, they're gonna suddenly stop, take out their telescope, rapidly turn around, and look back. Where are they?
Okay. So I think they're going to. They were. Let me think. They're still in Villestown, obviously. They're not going to be anywhere near the park. They're going to be. Now it's my turn to roll a d2.
Oh, boy.
All right, cool.
Another one.
They are in. It's a sort of a pseudo-industrial kind of area. Um, and there are big warehouses and not really factories, but definitely warehouses, sorts of things. And one of them is painted in a vibrant blue, and it's got a rooftop garden and a few things like that. It's the most standoutish building in the area. And Rye's just sort of going to stop and look back at Lousijan and be like looking around like,
Oh, this is not where I thought we were going to end up. Oh,
No,
yeah, absolutely not. But okay.
this is fascinating. This, so you can disrupt them properly if you committed to it. Oh, that's strange. And you see him still like with the telescope. He's just circling around, looking at the buildings through the telescope, looking at you through the telescope. You can see his eyes just wide and glimmering a little bit.
Would you like to roll a perception?
Sure. Let's see. I think if I remember correctly, it's the wisdom modifier, so it's a d20 plus whatever. D20 plus wisdom plus ability or plus skill.
If you're proficient, I have a character sheet that calculates it for me, so I couldn't actually tell you.
I am proficient in that, yes.
So it'd have your proficiency bonus in it too, I believe.
So it's a +9, like
Dang.
+6 +3, if I understand this, because they are perceptive. So I guess d20 +9 for perception.
Nice.
Oof.
Oh!
They do not perceive. They are.
No.
They are
That one.
they are perceiving the wrong thing.
Oh, they're absolutely too excited about the fact that they've like gone, oh, we're in a scene transition. Wait, I need to stop and just.
What? Oh God. Oh no.
Bless.
You see him like swinging around a telescope, looking at buildings, looking at you, looking at trees, looking at the ground. The ground.
Are you okay?
They're on. Yes, they have tripped over their tuned feet, and they are now on the ground. The telescope is aside to them. It's surprisingly sturdy for a telescope. You didn't even hear anything like any glass break from it, and they're just.
That's good.
They're just on their. They're just on their belly, and they're just staring at the sidewalk, and they're just like, I'm here now.
Got a little carried away there, huh?
Yes, I believe the stars call that hubris.
Well, there's good news. We're not lost. I know where we are. It's not where we were going, but I know where we are.
Where are we then? What is this weird ground?
Well, that's the footpath. You may want to get up.
They kind of like shovel to their feet. They go and they pick up their telescope, which is on slightly closer inspection. That's a way a little bit too fortified of a telescope. Some of the bands look a bit stronger than what would normally be on there for like a regular telescope.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and like, okay, so what is this blue building? Where are we?
Oh, well, the park we were aiming for is actually still in that direction. But maybe we came out here because this is where I was going to visit before I ran into you. This is where a lot of my family in Villestown live. See, we've got a sign.
And he's going to point it out because you got a nat one, so you couldn't see it on your own. There's a sign there that says Villestown Stagehand Hub.
Villestown Stagehand Hub. Are there any other languages? Or is it just common?
Just in common, and it's got a star on it.
Huh. Is that the Northern Star? Or is that like a particular star? Or is it just a decorative star?
It's the stagehand star, I suppose. Like on my coat. There's one on the sign for the Toontown hub as well, and I live in Halloween Town, and I made a sign for our hub there, but it's not been put up yet. But it has a star on it too.
Oh, so it's like a constellation if you look at it on a map.
Yeah, I suppose. Oh, that reminds me. I wonder if they would mind if I... Yeah, no, it'll be fine. Come on, come this way. I gotta show you something real cool.
And he's
okay.
going to turn and he's going to start trotting into the complex that surrounds this blue building.
They're blinking for a bit. Okay. And they're going to follow, and they're going to try to get a little bit more understanding of this fellow in front of them. As they explain. I guess I will roll the insights. Oh
sure.
boy. properly this time with all the right abilities. Uh, that's 6 plus 3 because scary shenanigans. Gosh, they are not today. They're way too distracted by
It is
everything around them
all
to
too
properly.
fascinating.
Yes,
Oh dear. Have you seen a full picture of Rye before?
I've not
All
actually.
right, let me just grab you a picture of what he looks like. So here is the lad.
Oh,
So
I see.
so he's wearing this blue and red little coat with tails and little tan pants with a belt, and with an 11, like he seems to be just about 90% enthusiasm. Like he's very friendly. He's really excited to show you whatever it is that he's just thought of.
Oh,
But
this will be interesting.
that's about all you're getting from him.
That's fine, because Lousijan would be like, fascinating. A lot more, a lot more round. And then they'll just follow behind, looking around, not through the telescope this time, because they've learned the consequences.
Yeah. So Rye doesn't go up to the door of this building. He sort of skirts around, like inside the boundary fence. Hello, cat. Get off the desk. Around through the inside the boundary fence, but he goes around the building, and he leads you to a part of the exterior wall, and he gestures to it, and it's got stuck to it a mosaic that sort of starts at the bottom of this wall. Like plants and grass had been kept away from this particular wall, but there are a number of tiles that are starting to creep up this building. Cat down. That are about, I'm gonna say maybe 3 by 3 inches square, and each of
Okay.
them are in a slightly different shade of blue, with a star in it, done in a metallic gold glaze. And they're sort of starting to creep up the wall. And he gestures to it and says, I'm guessing because this is ceramics, I think I know who makes these. But, this is some of my family that's up in the stars. Uncle Hattie told me to have a look for it. There's one in the Toontown hub, too. So every time that we've lost someone, I've only been in the family for not that long, but he said that every time we lose somebody, one of these 2 walls gets another star.
How many stars can Lousijan see?
There's probably about 13 or so here.
Huh. I see. Are they all tunes, or are some of them real kind?
Well, the tiles themselves are UPA style drawings, just the same as this building, because Villestown is in UPA. But is Lousijan asking Rye that question?
They are actually, yes.
Yeah, okay. Rye's gonna sort of step back a little bit and put his hands behind his back. Well, I think there's a couple of real kind. Inside the building, we've got what we call a wall of memory, which has pictures of people that we've lost and things like that. I don't know if there's a lot of crossover between this wall of memory and the one at the Toontown hub, because this one's not been here as long. But no, they're not all tunes.
I see. Is this dangerous work? Or is it just they pass on?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean,
Oh.
the tune that runs this hub, he's got a fake leg, because what did they say? He blew up a little bit. He did pyrotechnics,
And it was
Oh,
no, it had an accident. So, Uncle Ogun has part of him is a fake leg. So it's not dangerous, but I don't think all of them are stage accidents.
I see. Huh. It seems as if at least your group, your organization is trying to make things, I guess, as starry as the skies above me. Like they it's funny because you see them like try to like word something else, but they stop and they
Mm-hmm.
think and then they and then they say that. And it's not actually roll me insight on this. I'm curious to see if they would pick it up.
Sure. What's your insight, lad? It is a them. Ah, that's a 10. About as
10.
average as it gets.
Okay. So you can tell that what they were originally going to say wasn't they stopped it, but it wasn't because they felt they were going to say something like offensive, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not sure why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this so they make their own I guess I presume that they wouldn't make their own tile. I guess others make the tile once they move on
One of
and
my
use
aunts does do clay. I have a hold on. I have a mug. Do I have it with me?
That is not a 1 on his hammer space. That was a 10. So he reaches into his coat pocket and he pulls out this ceramic mug. It's blue, and it's got vines painted on it, and then it's got his name around the rim. And he just sort of holds it up and goes,
One of my aunts makes everybody in the family a mug, kind of like this one. She made me this one when I came into the family. And she does a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm pretty sure that she's the one making the tiles because they're made out of clay.
I see. But wait then, who makes her tile then? If she passes on.
I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
not sure whether or not she thought that through. um, I've not asked.
I think hmm. I'm afraid this comes with my business. I think of these answers by thinking of more questions. It's actually kind of funny almost how many questions you can answer by asking more questions.
Mm, I mean, it's kind of the same with detective work. You just have to figure out what the right questions to ask people are, and then you'll get enough answers to have the V capital T capital A kind of answer. Um, but it takes practice.
Yes, it does. And I guess I have a lot of it.
Hmm.
How long have you been doing detective work? Or at
Oh,
least,
not very long. Probably about a year. Has it been a year? A little bit more than a year. Not quite 2 years, but not somewhere between 1 and 2 years. I'm
uh,
still getting my bearings.
yeah, time's weird. Sometimes you sit, you're in your tent, and the sand's howling, and after a little, what feels like 5 minutes, you look out and you realize, oh, it's been a day. And sometimes you thought, oh, I'm just gonna go into this very starry-filled landscape of sand. Maybe I'll spend like a year, and then suddenly it's very much not a year. It's much longer than that. But yeah, it can get very weird. Time.
Hmm.
uh, But I see. This is, I guess, then, I guess, a extension of your home.
A bit, yeah. Um, my mom grew up in the Toontown hub, which is similar looking to this, except the style of it is a bit different. Um, and um, my uncle Staniel lives here. My uncle Hattie used to live in the Toontown hub, but now me and my mom and my uncle Hattie they live in we live in Halloween Town and we have our new little hub, so we're kind of just spreading out a little bit. So it's kind of like, is 3 stars enough for a constellation?
I guess that would technically be Orion's belt, the majority of it.
Who's
It's a
Orion?
small constellation. Ah, hmm. Out of character. Does like the constellation Orion exist?
I mean, I can't see why not.
Uh, okay, so Lousijan's gonna like pause a little bit, and they're like, they hesitate. Well, in a way that doesn't make me talk for 4 hours straight. It's essentially a Orion would be in the shape of a person, I guess a real kind human,
Uh huh.
and they sometimes have a spear, depending on who you ask. And there's like 3 bright stars around what would be their waist, and they call that Orion's belt. So it's, I guess, a part
Oh,
of the constellation.
oh, okay, that makes more sense because I was wondering how why he would be going around without his belt. His pants will fall down.
Yes. You see, they say yes, and they just stop, and they you see them actually reach behind them and like ruffle around and something, and they take out this crystal. It's a very like whitish, very like pockmarked crystal, and they just like crouch and they like, not only crouch, but they like bring it close to their eyes and they just stare at like a certain section of it very closely.
Mm-hmm.
And they just like keep looking at this crystal for a little bit. I I guess if the stars were all sentient, if all of the stars were sentient, that would be. I dread how many times I would have to remake this if the stars were all sentient like that. Oh no. Oh dear. Oh, this is where I keep track of the stars.
Oh,
I
I
guess
hope it doesn't get too confused because I know some of them move.
they do. And for the longest time I had no idea why they moved the way they did until I was told that apparently like 3 of them are kind of actual like goddesses and gods, and possibly one of them might be a tune.
Oh,
But
I mean,
if you're
and
talking,
that, and I suppose never mind all of the stagehands up there. I'm pretty sure the ones that move around Ankwell are the ones that are stagehands. Uncle Hattie said something like that.
ah,
But why
this
don't
is,
we keep going to the park and maybe
oh
you could
yes,
ask
yes, God.
when we get your tent set up, you could ask the stars about that.
Okay, that might be fun. That might be interesting. I'm actually kind of curious. I've never actually asked the stars if the stars were well, I guess if the stars were goddesses and gods, but I kind of got that answer. But I guess asking if which stars are sentient might make this star map of mine a little easier to make, possibly.
How do you
Hmm.
fit the whole map in that little rock? That's so cool.
Well,
Does it like fold out or it's inside and you just have to look at it real close?
oh, Once we set up the tent, it'll make a lot more sense. I'll show you. It's really cool.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
And he's gonna head back towards the gate, and he's gonna stop just as they get to the gate and turn and give a little bit of that accusatory point.
Don't interrupt the scene transition this time, or we'll never get there.
You see him, he's like halfway to grabbing his telescope, and he just stops and slowly drags a hand away from the telescope and just puts them behind their back. And then they slowly walk quietly, and they look like a puppy that was about to get like a treat, but the treat was taken away and replaced with a slightly less of a treat, like a pebble. Red is trying to make an analogy and is failing, but they follow behind, and they will not try to interrupt the scene transition.
All right, cool. So, they get to have their little walk scene transition, and in no time at all, they are standing at the gate of this big park. It is big. It's got loads of trees, big, wide, open grass areas. There's some barbecues and gazebos with for entertaining area sort of things, and a playground and all this sort of cool stuff. And Rye puts his hands on his hips and gives a nod, and then looks up at Lousijan and goes,
So this park does not have the cursed swing in it. It's got lots of see, there's lots of people on the street here, and you can see there are loads of people in the park. So if you
Yes.
point your tent and your sign at the footpath here, you should get a lot of people going, oh, that looks interesting. Let's go and see what that's about.
I see. Cursed swing. I guess of course a park would have a cursed swing.
We put up a sign. It's fine.
They nod. They funny enough, they don't actually seem too alarmed by the mention of a cursed swing. They just seem to accept this as a part of reality now.
"Oh
see.
dear."
And they see him like walk a bit, and they look up, and they start to walk while looking up. And it's funny. They don't even like extend their arms, and yet they can easily transverse the trees and the grass and the objects. Mostly the natural things. Like there was one time where they almost walked into a pole as you watch them, and they had to quickly like shuffle to the side. But anything that's like natural based, they seem to avoid easily, almost a little too easily when not looking at it. And how long do you observe this behavior?
Rye is at this point doing the polite of I'm just gonna let him do what he needs to do. So as long as they're gonna need to.
Okay,
He's not in
because
a hurry.
okay, it's because you're gonna see this fascinating process of him like walking across like a field, then walking back across the field, but like a slightly different angle. And he's gonna keep walking in this weird web-like way that doesn't seem to make too much sense until finally, like after like a good 15 minutes, he stops, he takes out his telescope, he does not look towards the sun, he looks away from the sun. They're smart. And they look for a second. Yes, this will be a good angle. It'll match up this way. And they start to set up the tent. And again, they just basically like they take the whole tent out of their back, kind of like brush off a little bit of the dirt and the debris from earlier when they fell. Start putting down the poles, and then almost like a little bit of like a flourish, and the tent is set up fully. The full like 8-foot tall tent. They open up the flat a little bit. They take their telescope. They kind of like put it. They kind of like they almost like go on their tippy toes a little bit and just kind of like twist the telescope in their top in top of the tent. And then they like step back a bit and they look at it. and then they go back and they adjust the telescope again. And then like after like a minute of adjusting the telescope, they nod and they step back and like, okay, there we go. Now it's aligned properly.
Can you see the stars even though it's not nighttime?
Kai, let's just say I've spent a very, very long time looking up the stars.
Hmm.
Like, God, I don't even fully remember now. I guess a real kind would say maybe 60? No, not 60. 50. 55?
Wow, you're a lot older than I thought.
Yeah, 54 years. Yeah, about that.
Huh.
So I guess after like the first after the first 20 or so years, you just kind of have a feeling. Though I guess also my study kind of also helps with that feeling too. Oh, you want to know how this worked? He takes out the stone again.
Hmm.
It's kind of actually really cool and a little bit showy, but it works really well. You don't mind dark spaces, do you?
Not in the slightest.
All right, perfect, because it's going to be really dark for like 5 or 7 seconds. Uh, come in, and he kind of like crouches into their tent
Mm-hmm.
and kind
Ryan's
of
gonna
like
follow
he's
after.
all right. And as you follow in, it's still really, really dark. You could kind of see like some of like some other items that you couldn't really see earlier in like the weird tent container
Mm-hmm.
are now there. Like for some reason, there's like some sort of like bundle of what looks like some type of armor. It's
Mm-hmm.
very fuzzy. It's very furry though, and like there's this shield you didn't notice before that's there. You can't really tell what's on it, but it's obvious that it's some sort of like shield. And there's like something that may. Nah, I guess that's the only two major things that you can notice.
Mm-hmm.
And they go here. Close the flap. It
Okay. Shuffle, 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 flap, 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 pull.
and maybe sit, and then the room goes dark. It's even with even with dark vision, it's a little bit of a struggle to see at first.
Now this is
And
dark.
it is dark, and they're like, yes, it kind of has to be dark. Yeah, this is right. And they
Man,
mutter.
in this kind of dark, you would never find me.
They about to say something, they stop, and they're actually, you know what? Heck it. Does a passive perception of 21 allow them to spot the guy, your little whiz, the stage hand?
Absolutely. Like, he isn't actively hiding. Like, he's hard to see in the dark because he's dark grey in color.
Yeah.
Like you can see his pants. Probably there's the most that you can see, or if there's any light at all, maybe off his belt buckle or on some of the badges that are pinned to his coat. But he is
It's
very difficult to spot. Um, uh,
it's
yeah.
it's actually funny. There's like no light, no exterior light at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even you would think that the telescope above would like kind of have some cracks. There's not. There's not even a single crack in this tent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the answer of why this is that way appears rather quickly as you hear them mutter they hear them mutter something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spell, like a actually. I don't know the full rules about identifying spells. Like if you know the spell, do you know what it is?
Um, I'm not sure, but I can roll an Arcana.
Okay. I mean, it's probably very obvious what the spell is, but I'm just curious if they understood what was about to happen.
All right. Well, I'll let you decide. With him having rolled a 13.
Given, I guess, it's kind of a simple cantrip, they recognize some of the words for like the cantrip of light.
Oh, okay. Yep, he absolutely doesn't know that one, so that's fine. But he knows
You
other people
don't?
who do.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting. So they mutter. You hear them mutter a cantrip, and you see their like the stone, like the crystals start to glow, and the light kind of gets like funneled into the crystal, and then suddenly there are stars.
Cool. When the
Oh,
light cantrip activated, Ray absolutely did just squint immediately.
I
But then he sort of kind of got used, like adjusted a bit, and then he's able to open his eyes up and look at all of the stars. Oh,
like
that's cool.
it is. It's very useful actually, and it's fascinating because you would think, based on the size of the stone, that the stars wouldn't look as clear as they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can easily tell every star is like an individual point through the stone.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's all the light from the cantrip is basically being funneled into this rock, and the entire inside of the tent, the top of the tent, everywhere that's black, there's now stars.
Oh
There's like
man.
some of them are constellations they might recognize, some of them are constellations they don't recognize. There's a lot of constellations they don't recognize actually.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
imagine so.
But
Rai is absolutely doing that starry-eyed wonder expression right now. Like you don't have to roll an insight. He is absolutely gobsmacked. Um,
they chuckle a little bit. Yeah, everyone seems to have this reaction when they first see this, but
So
this is
cool.
it is this is how I do some magic. When I talk to the stars, uh, I I use this cantrip to kind of get all the stars out so I can see them properly, and then you see them like they're slowly like moving a stone a little bit, and you kind of see like the stars wiggle and like shift their positions,
mm-hmm.
and they keep explaining, and I try to match them with what the stars are like currently. So it's like afternoon now, so that constellation would be theoretically over here. Yeah, so it'd be over there, and it takes like another like 20, like actually like 5 or 10 seconds, but eventually they stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, everything's aligned. And this is where I guess normally I would ask you questions. At least you can ask questions and I would try to answer them. And if it needed to be very particular, I would I would ask. I would cast some magic. I admittedly I would say my skill set, I like to focus on divination. I guess it's not really typical for I guess what I would technically be classified as, but it works.
Oh, that's cool.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
really really cool.
it is.
Do you have like a business card or something? Because I think this would be really neat. My mom would really love this. My uncle Hattie
Is
wouldn't be able to see it because he's blind, but he'd appreciate that it was a thing.
you see him like tilt their head to the side. Business card?
Oh yeah, like this. Hold on, let me get mine.
Hammer space. That's a 4. So he reaches into his coat, and he pulls out a little business card. It's made out of yellow card, and he hands it over, and it's got Detective Little Lynn stagehand and Junior Detective Little Rye stagehand written on it, and then it's got their phone number and their address as the Stagehands Requiem Detective Agency.
You see him stare at it for a moment. What's the purpose of these numbers?
Oh, they're kind of like uh a what's it called? A stone of far speech link kind of thing.
I
Like,
have no idea.
you know,
I don't
there's
know.
boxes in the street. They're not very big. They're only like I don't know, about not even 3 feet by 3 feet, and then they're like 9 feet, and they're like red, I think, and there's not really anything in them except the funny thing on the back of them.
Uh, I mean, the only time I've ever seen those used is someone goes into them and then somebody entirely different comes out.
Oh yeah, they're good for that too. But you can go in there, and there's the thing on the wall, and you can pull the handle up and push the buttons of the numbers, and then you can talk to somebody else through the thing like it was a stone of far speech.
You see them like pause and their eyes like widen a little bit and then they don't widen. Like, they kind of like get scrunched up a little bit and then they widen a bit more. Uh, are they also portable?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen some people who have their own that they can carry around in their hammer space or their pocket. Yeah, I don't have one, but I know people who do.
They mutter something in a different language. It's very fluid. It's like a it's fluid. You can tell at least though by the tone that it's some sort of like revelation, but you can't really know what word they exactly said. And they move with their hands down and they reach around and they drag out like a really, really like a whatever I guess like a modern whatever modern phone or smartphone exists in Valestown.
Mm-hmm.
They drag out that
It's a Nokia brick.
whatever it is, and they're like, is okay. Funny story. There was this person that was running by on their whatever. Is this maybe on the zoo chases because there were people running after them? But they had a bag full of these, and one of these dropped, and I've been trying to figure out how to get this back to them. And I tried sending like a letter because apparently like it glows and it has like comment written on it. So I tried to like send a letter through it, but they didn't respond. Nobody respond. Nobody sent back a letter. I I is this for voice?
Yeah, yeah, it is. You put the numbers in, and then you push the green button after you put the numbers in, and then it'll ring and it'll ring. Sometimes it actually makes a ring noise, but some people turn that off. I'm not sure how, but it'll ring, and then somebody sometimes will pick up the other end, and then you can talk to them. But if they're not near their phone or what have you, they might not pick it up. But you can talk to them, and then you push the red button to stop.
I huh. I have never encountered this before. And yet I still have not seen the person. Their name is User. I think their name is User. I mean, that's what this says, and it has like a picture of some sort of red, fluffy animal on their stomach with like rain tails.
Don't know.
That
But I mean, if I was you, if you were trying to get it back to them, you could take it to the police station and they'd try and figure it out.
I think I might because it's been like 4 or 5 days, and
Especially if someone had taken a whole bunch of these. This is stolen property. So you don't want to get caught with
what?
stolen property.
S- Stolen?
Well, from what
Stole?
you said, if they had a big bag of them and were running and someone was chasing them, it might be stolen property.
Ah, maybe that's why they haven't responded to the letters. I sent 2.
Mm. Yeah, I'd just
Oh
take it to
dear.
the police station and
I
and tell them exactly what you told me, and then hand it in and say I'd like it to go back to its owner. They'll probably have a file. If somebody stole it, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that's from such and such when they stole a whole bunch from the phone shop or from all these people or whatever it happens to be."
All right. I will try to find this station and also bakery. That's 2 places I need to find now. Okay. And they kind of like very nervously put away the discovered contraband they now have. And they just kind of like look at it weirdly and they like actually I need to look at something. Uh you see them uh mm, ba, 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 ba. You see them like oh gosh. God, I'm looking at my spells. Would he do that? No. You see him like about to cast something but stop and just kind of look at it and they just kind of like it'll be fine. Okay. So that's what the numbers are for, and you put the numbers on the business card and I guess then people call you and then
Mm-hmm.
the name is I guess where they are.
Well, I mean,
Oh, that might be
on this side, it's got that's my mom's name, and this is my
mhm.
name, and then it's our phone number and our address. So like
Address.
if you were looking at a map, you'd be able to go, okay, I need to go to this street in Halloween Town,
Oh,
and this numbered house, and that's where the Stagehand's Requiem is.
I see. So I guess that's an issue then because I move a lot. I guess I just write down Valestown? I have to think on this. I never thought of this before. This might be useful. And he like puts the card back and he goes, "Okay, where? Oh, yes. Where were we? We're something. Oh boy. I
I'm just trying to think of how you would have a business card for people to contact you if you didn't have a permanent place of residence. I mean, if you had your own phone and not a stolen one, that would be a good place to start. Have a phone number. Oh, but as long as it's got your name on it, we could send you a buddy plane.
uh what?
Oh, they're these really cool items. You can buy them from like almost any shop that sells like paper and stationery and things. Uh,
Mhm.
do I have one? I don't know if I have one. He's gonna reach into his coat and rifle around. That was another 4. Oh, here's one, and he pulls out this piece of paper that's been folded into a paper airplane. And he unfolds it and he holds it up and says, "Okay, it doesn't look like much, but what you do is you write your letter on the paper and put it back into the plane mode, and then you throw it, and it will fly to whoever your letter is for."
Oh,
I'm not
all
gonna
right.
throw this one because I've only got
No, no.
one.
That-
He's gonna stick it back in his coat.
But yeah, you should be able to buy some. We buy them in bulk because we go through quite a few of them. But they're
uh,
really handy if you don't know where someone is and you need a letter to get to them. Because as long as you know their name or a name that they go by, pseudonyms seem to also work. Then you can send them a letter and get in contact with them.
oh, that will be very helpful. I guess if I do both, then people would be able to find me. I guess I don't aren't too worried about being found. I guess I'm kind of obvious to spot thinking
Mm,
about it. I'm very tall.
I seem
Well,
taller.
yeah, there's probably taller. I just haven't ran into anyone taller than me yet.
You'll need to visit Halloween Town.
Ah, I see. Interesting. Okay, okay, okay. I think I understand. I understand. Uh, and and they go actually for a moment, and they rifle through like they rifle through what looks to be the pile of furs. They're still holding the stone in the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
and they take out this. It's a very actually it's a little actually You'll see. I mean, what you could see straight up right now, it's a notebook. It's a very obvious, like very big, very thick notebook. And they open the pages, and you can see. Ooh, I mean, I would usually have you roll like I guess like maybe investigation or perception to see what it says, but you don't know the language.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you would just used to see a lot of the earlier script that you saw on the sign, the last one, the one that's really flowy,
Mm-hmm.
and he flips like a lot of pages in, looks for like a free spot, which is really hard. There's like you can tell by the writing that there's like some are sideways, some are above, some are lower, some have arrows pointing to them. One page has like half of a sketched constellation that's like interrupted by like 20 notes. And
Rye
he
doesn't
draws
judge. He has a notebook like that.
and he draws like he realizes now he's run out of hands. Ah,
Mm.
um, pardon me for a second. And he's going to put the crystal down. He's going to take away his hand, and all the stars disappear. And his hand is now very much glowing brightly, and he's like rushing around looking for like a thing. Where is it? Where is it? Where's it? Ah? He pulls out a literal quill, and he just like kind of like you see him like dip it into like ink. This man does not have modern writing utensils.
Nope, that's fair enough.
And he just like scribbles down something in that scripty, flowy language, scribbles again, adds a third line, blows on it a little bit, waits a second, takes your card, puts it where like on like a page, like a thing, and folds it up. All right then, and he puts everything away rather quickly. All right, now I hopefully won't forget it. But yes, I he takes his crystal bud, sets it back, all the stars appear again. So this is what I guess I do. Apart from finding contraband, and getting pied in the face, I sit here. I put my magic through this focus. This is kind of how I'm able to do my magic most of the time. I need this I guess a druidic focus. Druidic
Oh.
focus.
I've got one of those.
Pardon me?
He's just gonna pull open his coat, and there is what would you call it? A disc, I suppose, that's
Yes.
hanging. It's like tied to the inside of his coat, and I do have a picture of it somewhere. But it's got a leather handle that's tied to the inside of his coat, and goes,
This is mine.
Is that a star map?
It's, no. It doesn't really have stars on it.
Oh, I see.
What it has on it, it's got a hat engraved on one side, and squint. Come on, picture open. What animals does it have on it? It's not opening. I think it's got a wolf and a. Oh, here we go. God, potato computer, please.
It's all right.
Here we go. Yeah, okay. It has a wolf, a monkey, a raven, a cat, and a tortoise engraved on the other side. On the side that you can see.
Oh, I see. Ah, so you use this, and I guess you use it as a focus, and you can. Oh, I see. Uh, are you? Mm, what kind of druid are you,
I
actually?
it took
What
us
circle?
forever to figure this out. Fee said that I'm a circle of the land druid.
Oh, so you can do elementals, like shift into them sometimes, maybe? My memory's a little rusty on on land druids.
I'm
Um,
really good at wild shape. I mean, I'm not as good at wild shape as Fee. My friend Fee is super good at it. I mean, they're also a were raven, so they've kind of got predisposition for that sort of thing. But
I see. I see.
but they're super good at it. And we play tag. We turn into different animals and we play tag like that. It's great fun.
Oh, I see. I mean, I guess I could shift into an animal, but I wouldn't say that's not really what I do. I can shift. I can do the wild shape, but it's oh, it gets very weird. It's um I basically ask the stars to assist me and they give me their light and they kind of choose a constellation that may help and I kind of embody the constellation.
Me, Whis, is just sitting here going, I know which circle that is. That's cool as shit.
Yes, yes. Oh boy, you're not.
Oh dear.
I
Golly. Ryan's
yes.
just gonna nod.
Now that's fair. Everybody does their magic differently.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of affects the wings too, but that's different.
There is a visible red and yellow dot exclamation mark that appears over Ryan's head.
You got wings.
Oh, I guess I did say that out loud. My apologies. Yes, um, I do, but temporarily.
That's
I
really
guess
neat. My friend Hugh and my friend Cassie and my uncle Hattie, they all have wings, but they have wings all the time. And I like turning into a bird, and I'm still practicing. I'm not as good as some of the other people as when they turn into birds. But that's so cool.
yeah, how much do you know about Asimars?
Not a lot.
Okay, my bloodline is part celestial. I don't actually know who. All I know is that well, when it's something that I could always do, I guess, ever since I was a child, but I can't do it. I can do it for at least, at least 10 minutes. No, not 10 minutes. About a minute. A
Mm-hmm.
minute, but then I have to kind of rest for a long time because it's very intensive. But like some Asimars, I've met one Asimar who got wings, but they couldn't fly with them, but they were very spooky. And there's another one that just had their eyes glow really brightly, and they kind of like sucked energy around them, and they were kind of spooky. Well, they're kind of scary and intimidating way. But I have, I can kind of like for a little bit, kind of like take the celestial part of me and kind of like make that kind of push it out as well. Kind and I kind of like get wings appear, and they last like not that long, but I can fly as fast as I can run, and I can
That's
just
neat.
yeah, and I can do all these other things as well with them. But usually I just kind of use them when I have to be really scary, really dramatic, or when I'm trying to get away from things.
That's
Because
fair.
yeah, because I mean, sometimes when you're threatened by something, then whoever you're being threatened by suddenly starts floating and wings of starlight appear and they start floating in the air and you see like the stars kind of just start glowing on them. People get really scared and they run and then they're not a problem anymore.
Fair enough. I mean, that sounds like a good way of looking after yourself. Good self-defense technique. I
Yeah,
mean, it doesn't sound like something I would be scared of, but I mean, again, I live in Halloween Town. That sort of stuff just happens all the time. Um,
I mean, if they're not scared, I just bop them over the head.
that does help sometimes too.
But
Did
yeah,
you
like,
still want to ask the stars about the moving constellations
oh
and things?
God, yes. I do apologize. I do kind of get off track by so many things. There's so many thoughts. The stars, yes, I will. I will try to ask them. They might answer. They did give me good fortune today, so maybe I'll try to do that, and I'll see what happens. And you see them like one moment. You see them like sit there for a bit. Honestly, I've never really asked the stars myself. This might get weird. It won't be as weird as the warlock. That was really weird. But they kind of like take the star, put it in their hand,
Mm-hmm.
and they sit, and you see them breathe in and like breathe out. And I don't know if you know this spell, but would they recognize augury?
No, absolutely not.
Oh boy. Well, I guess not that it's going to make too much sense because it's going to be kind of semi-flavored all the heck and back.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Let me just bring up the spell just to make sure that I am getting the spell correct. You see them focus for a bit and for a minute, and you see them like hesitate a bit, and they're like, I guess I can't really directly ask them a question in that particular sense with this one. I know how to work. I know what to do. And after like a full minute, they ask them, "Will I?" I guess how they word it. They're very careful how they word it, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Will I receive a answer if I if I try to ask you the stars if some of them are stagehands?" Like actual stagehands. In this case, that's what his intentions are.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I guess at this point, since you know your stagehands, you're gonna have to probably basically tell me wheel if it's a positive,
Mm-hmm.
woe if it's like a negative, wheel and woe if it's both. And if it's just like if that's like really nothing, then it's just nothing. Nothing happens.
Okay.
They won't really get anything. But you're gonna have to basically
Mm-hmm.
try to answer that question with one or four things.
Okay. So the exact wording was, "If some of you are stagehands."
Like, essentially, they're asking if I asked you if some of you were stagehands, would you answer me as yes or no?
No,
Or basically answer me as like yes.
you would get a positive answer from that for sure.
So wheel.
Mm.
Okay, so you see like the stars move a little bit, but the crystal itself doesn't move,
Mm-hmm.
which is a slightly eerie bit because then the stars move slightly, and Lousijan has their eyes closed, but you can see that one of the stars, one of the constellations, the one of I guess the one that they were talking about that looked a bit like Orion,
Mm-hmm.
shift. And for but a moment, you can see the constellation is no longer Orion's constellation, but it's the stagehand star, and
Oh,
it
cool.
lasts for like a second, and then it like shifts back, and they open their eyes, and they're like, "I felt a good sensation from that, so I would presume then that they are up there, and
It,
they are also
it
moving."
moved. The stars moved, and they changed from, how you're saying about the person shape there? Then there was like a five-pointed star, like our stagehand star, and then it moved back before you looked. I saw it move. Ah!
Pardon? And they look at the constellation, and they look down at the stone. What is going on?
Is it not
This
supposed to do that?
the last time I did a spell in Valestown regarding divination, the stars did move. They decided to not be constellations anymore, and they showed kind of like a thing, like an image, a a vision almost made out of stars. But I didn't expect it to happen here too. This has not happened. I okay. I've been when I did this as well when I was out in the desert. It never did things like that. They would stay the same. They wouldn't move. I would get the same answers. I would get the same like visions and feelings but they wouldn't move. This is new. Moving stars are new. I don't know why they're like that. Um,
Maybe it's because you got company and the stars want the people in your tent to see the vision too?
I I guess, but then wouldn't they moved with the other people I've met on my journeys?
Good point.
Hmm,
I
this
suppose it's
is
a tune thing?
And he does this really unsure little shrug.
I maybe. I mean, so far I guess I wouldn't say the only two times this has happened, it's been with tunes, but they pause for a bit, actually. They mutter something in Celestial,
He
and then
does
they
not
mutter
speak
they
celestial.
kind of like yeah, they have a momentary conversation with themselves in Celestial. They're debating about something. Actually, roll me. You don't know the language, so this might be you have to probably roll very high.
Mm-hmm.
But see if your insight can kind of
Get a vibe?
maybe get a vibe of what they're debating about.
Oh yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy.
Oh boy. Oh, another one. That is a natural 19 plus 5.
Yup.
Okay. So the vibe you're getting is they're debating about something they just said. But then the tone of it is like da 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 da
Okay.
da 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 da. They kind of like after like that debate, like, but they're definitely debating about something.
Mm-hmm.
And the switch to Celestial was purposeful. It was that you can definitely tell. They purposely switched to a language that they did not know to
Mm-hmm.
discuss this point with themselves.
Yeah, fair.
So that's, I believe, what you get from your really high insight on language you don't know.
He's kind of used to that. Like he's used to people talking giant around him, and he's still trying to figure that one out.
I see. But they're like, yes, yeah, that doesn't really happen around tunes.
Well, weird. Do you want to try it again? See if it happens again? If you need a question to ask them, maybe you could ask who's up there, which stagehands. I mean, it's not like I don't
Uh,
have access to a list, but
who's? I'm not sure exactly how to ask who's because at least out of care, augury states that it's like basically the course of a plan of action you tend to take within the next 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they worded it so weirdly.
Yep.
But in this case, they kind of like think for a moment. I know that with all divination, it the first one's usually the best, and the next one gets fuzzier, and the stars start to get farther and farther away. In a sense, it's more of when I've done this more than once, I've found that the more times I do it in a day, the less, I would say, I guess, less accurate it gets. but we could try. There's nothing stopping me. But then what to ask to word it in just a way? This doesn't require a proper divination. Would it require a proper divination? That would get very dramatic if I have to do a proper divination on this particular question of who's up there. But I mean, I guess it's a longer spell though. But I guess you're not too worried about time, are you?
Not really. I mean, I do probably have to think about getting home in the next, well, before it gets dark anyway. How long is a
Yeah.
long spell?
They kind of like think about it. They ponder. They look through their mental notes, which is out of character my notes, because I need to have like a proper list of like a definition for my spells.
Fair enough. I get that.
I think possibly about 10 minutes.
I can spare 10 minutes. And you said that you do this for customers, right? So
He's gonna reach into his coat
Oh.
again, and he's gonna pull out a little coin pouch that looks like a ladybug, and he's gonna pull it open, and then he's gonna just look back up at them and be like,
how much are your services? Because
Oh,
I am taking up your time, so...
Oh God, they seem a little flustered, almost like I guess this is kind of. Oh God, that's right, people. You realize? I think you've definitely. They don't. Your junior detective here can clearly realize that Lousijan, as insightful and as like aware as he is, they are not the best business person. For a long shot.
to make a really horrible pun. They do seem like a little bit of a space cadet.
Oh God. Yeah, I. Okay. In this case, I don't know. Are stagehands? I guess you said they're not gods,
No.
but maybe gods serve. I guess you can do divination outside of like a religious thing. I will now try to ask the stars directly about this. I guess instead of a specific entity, I'll ask the stars. I have to word this a little differently. I guess I can ask a single question, but it has to be about a goal, event, activity within a week.
Why don't you ask which stagehand constellation will be here in a week?
Oh, that could work. That could work. Oh yeah, that would definitely work. Okay, since we do. Okay. You see them like they're a little excited almost. They're like they start with they take with their free hand. They start like spinning the telescope like in their. Well, no, they can't. They go to spin it. They go to look like they're about to spin something, but they realize it's not there, and they look up and they look back down and they kind of like start tapping their hand instead, and they go and they're like, okay, I guess technically this is actually much faster than 10 minutes. All right. Yes, okay. They breathe in and breathe out again. They focus themselves, they adjust the crystal, and they go and they ask directly in Celestial your question. They ask, which star stagehand's constellation will be the most recently be seen, I guess, or at least what will be seen next.
All right. Do you have to roll anything for that spell?
Not for the first time, but you have to apply in this case. is fun because you basically try to mess with me. It's a short praise, a cryptic rhyme or a omen. So I guess determine the answer could be one of those three things, and you try to make it, have fun with it, I say.
Okay. Well, the answer that you get is actually, let me 1, 2, 3, 3. Let me roll a d3.
Mhm.
1. Okay, perfect. So you cast your spell and you're looking at the answer that you're getting, and it's because you're so used to looking at constellations, you're very able to pick up the patterns of them and see the pictures that they are representing.
Mhm.
And after a second, you're able to link up what this set of stars is supposed to look like, and the way that it moves across the sky in your imagination there. And it seems to be a lizard of some sort. You can roll a nature maybe to get a specific lizard.
Sure, let us do that because my nature is poor. Da-da-da-da. It's it's your skill ability, so that would be 2 plus whatever your int is, I believe. If I understand it, no, it's just 2, because it's not a proficiency.
Mm.
If I understand it. 11.
Oh, that's enough. Like, you're not getting down to the exact subspecies of this kind of lizard, but you reckon it's probably a gecko.
You see them like look at the crystal, and you see them like they don't look at them yet, but they kind of like take their hand and they start to touch, in a sense, the stars, at least all the various stars. And as they like touch them, they start to glow a little brighter and they start to connect. And it's strange because the lines were not there until they literally started to draw them. And after like 10 seconds, it's a very quick, fluid movement.
Mm-hmm.
You see, they can see the gecko,
Yep.
and you actually see the other stars like fade out a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then the gecko starts to wiggle around the room. And Lousijan, he looks up and he looks towards where the star would be, the constellation would be. It's not there. And he rapidly starts to look around the room and he sees the constellation they drew out, the gecko that you described, wiggle up and down, like almost like in a sine wave. Like sometimes it's like above the horizon, sometimes below the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like circling the tent.
Yep,
And
that sounds about right.
this happens twice, and he just stares at it with this confused look of why is this happening now? And after it goes around twice, it kind of like wiggles a bit, goes like up towards like the top of the tent, and then stills itself. And it stays there. And he looks back towards where the star would be, and he looks at the gecko, and he looks at the star, and he looks at the gecko. Oh, this is... Oh. That... They look at the detective. How have they reacted to all this so far?
He is absolutely vibrating with delight. He's got his hands on his cheeks and his eye is really, really round. Like, you know when a cat's eye gets really big? He's kind of done that. And it's got little... You can see the stars that are being projected into the tent reflecting in the blue of his eye. And he's just sort of... He's almost literally vibrating.
That's fascinating. He looks at them for a second. That's fascinating. They look back at the gecko with more of a concerned look and be like, all right. That constellation is one of yours. And the gecko like turns and looks at them and then turns back and flicks its tail but doesn't move. That's roughly where it is in the sky right now, this very instant. Which, I mean, I try my best with the crystal, but it's hard to get all the stars to sometimes accurately get to the right positions. And the gecko looks down again, shuffles just a little bit down and stops. It updated its position. Okay. I guess that is your answer. And, oh, this is making me ask so many questions about myself. Is this how other people feel when they interact with me?
I don't know. I've only interacted with you as me, not as other people.
Ah, that's right. But if I call it, I guess it isn't as crazy as the other time, but it's very much unusual. Oh boy, I'm almost hesitant to dismiss the cantrip. Ah,
Well, I
it
know that in a
is.
week I'm going to be coming here so I can see if I can spot the this constellation up there. Now that I know
Have
it's
I?
going to be here, I'm definitely going to try and find it.
Yeah. At that position and angle, I guess it technically would be visible, but like visible at like ah. I mean, it's above the horizon, which means it is visible, but it's like the southern hemisphere, so it would be behind the buildings. But like, if it's moving the way it is, and the gecko updates its position again, it's moving the way it is. It's like 2 day, 3 days from now, like the evening around like 10:30, 11. It'll kind of be like cresting over like the tall Valestone buildings. Almost like it was like trying to like scurry across one of the rocky bits of the desert. Um, I just don't recognize the name of the stars. I don't know. Are your stagehand stars in academia? I studied a lot of the stars in academia, but I don't know. I don't remember seeing stagehand constellations.
I
Uh,
don't know. I've never studied the stars, really. That sounds like a kind of question you'd want to ask either my mom or my Uncle Hattie or Uncle Ogan or Arnie Mao or Grunkle Tort. They've been stagehands forever. So, or I've only been a stagehand for a couple of years. So, you probably want to ask them.
I I see. Huh. I I feel like in one hand, the stars are like almost making me want to remake my crystal. That would be the seventh time out of the entire time I've had it that I've had to remake it. Then again, it was very up to date before I arrived in Valestown. Now it's not. I maybe there's just more star. They're at the point where they're pretty much rambling about you hear them ramble about like act like this like some stars, and you hear some scientific words of other star names.
Mm-hmm.
They're like they're trying to orient this new constellation with the I guess the quote unquote scientific constellations with their scientific names and try to figure out what stars they are. And they just, mm, I'm gonna have to figure out these names. If I'm gonna be in this town, I'm going to probably find more constellations.
Probably. Um,
Oh, mm,
if you do they tell you their names, or do you have to figure it out?
no, they don't. I mean, I didn't ask them for the stars' names, so I don't think they would tell me. I only learned their names after a lot of study in books and some passing astrologers. And
Hmm.
uh, there is there's one person that was very advanced, and they had a very big telescope, and they had, thinking about it, something similar to this device. I didn't really understand it at all, but they're like, they could see like certain waves that came from the stars, and like some of the waves were red and some of the waves were blue, and that meant where the stars were moving apart from across the sky. It was very red shift and blue shift, I think it was, but it was very intense. But this
Oh.
isn't it. This isn't red shifting or blue shifting. It's the gecko like updates its position again and like wiggles a little farther down.
Oh, it's
This
funny you keep
feels
saying
like,
that because he would.
yes, this is.
He could
I
just be
would.
being a picnic.
I mean, there was one star constellation that was being, in your words, a picnic, and that might have been the trickster goddess star that I learned about last time with Krillin. Krillin? I'm pronouncing their name wrong, maybe. Um, I don't know. You wouldn't know that, detective, would you? One second.
What do they look like?
Properly. I'm gonna get their proper reference. I'm gonna drag it out. I would have had it prepared, but my brain said no. Uh, basically, uh, out of character, it's Quinn's, what the befuddled sorcerer's Emmett character.
Is it Kieran?
Kieran,
Yeah.
that's their name. Kieran. I need to write notes physically like Lousijan does. But they're yes, that's the person they're talking about. I don't know if if your character knows them.
Oh, no, I think I've met them. I should see if I could catch up with them. I haven't seen them since Paint Fest.
Ah, well, yes. I mean, they've visited me once. They brought really good sandwiches. But yeah, they kind of found me when I first wandered in here, and I was very lost and very much in the middle of the road, and roads are bad.
Yeah, fair enough. If you're not used to roads, well,
Yeah.
I don't have sandwiches, but I do have something else. Oh, and he
I
fumbles.
Great! I'm loving that.
what 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 does that do? I've never seen it fumble before.
Okay, so he got a 1 on his hammer space roll, which means that he's going to pull out something that wasn't what he was going for. So let's see. Okay, first of all, he reaches into his coat and he pulls out this box of crayons that's it's seen some shit. Like, I mean, it's tattered to hell. Like, how it's holding the crayons in there, you've got no idea.
That's not what I was after.
That's a 4. That's still not high enough.
Let me try again.
They
What else have I got in my pockets?
He tries again, puts the crayons back, reaches back and ruffles around, pulls out this box of nails, which is just as tattered, but as he pulls it out, it rips, and now there's all of these nails that just go ding, 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 all over the floor. It's like,
Pick. Ah, no. Oh dear. Let me pick those up.
oh yes, they sound a little concerned because they can tell that this is clearly not quote unquote normal. At least not what they were expecting. Um okay, they kind of like we I'm No, I don't want to get rid of the gecko. Ah!
It's fine. It's fine. I'll pick them up. I'll make sure
Okay,
I'll get them all.
it's fine.
Uh,
I don't want an animal stepping on them. That would be bad.
Yeah, no, maybe you should double check when you've got the flap open so it's not as dark, but I think I got them all.
Yeah.
Okay, third time's the charm. Let's see.
And this time he reaches into the other side of his coat, and what he pulls out, and he visibly relaxes and sighs when he pulls this out, because the last one was a 10, so that was high enough. He pulls out this little bottle. It's a glass bottle, clear glass bottle with a black screw top lid. That's probably no bigger than a bottle of ketchup, right? And he puts this down and he says, this is a cordial that I make. So you put a little bit in the bottom of your cup and fill the rest up with water, and it makes your water taste good. I made it.
Oh. Fascinating. Water tasting good. They kind of like, with their free hand, you would swear with all the talking and stuff I do that Lousijan has at least 3 hands, but no, they only have 2. They grab it and they lift it up. They give a little sniff. What do they smell?
You can smell black pepper, cinnamon, and star anise.
It gets very cold in Halloween Town, doesn't it?
Yes and no. I mean, we don't really get summer. It kind of sticks around this hazy shades of autumn kind of thing.
Ah,
So, like, it
yeah.
doesn't get cold enough to snow normally. But also it doesn't get super warm. I just really like
see.
these spices. They're nice.
They are. They're good for keeping one warm when things get chill. Fascinating. You just put it in the water
Mm-hmm.
and you drink it.
Yep. I mean, you probably want to give it a little bit of a mix so it's, properly diluted, not just have a whole bunch of syrup at the bottom. It's also got a lot of sugar in it, so it'll keep for ages.
I see. They look back for a second. They ponder. They nod and I guess they will accept your gift if I'm interpreting this correctly.
Yep, for sure.
Gift obtained.
Uh-huh.
And they're fascinated on this. They're like, would this go good with rhubarb? Maybe.
It might.
It might.
I've not tried.
Yeah. And I guess that fellow hasn't returned with rhubarb, so I think we'll find out one day. And they just kind of try to carefully put it back in the bundle of furs that look the furs, yeah. Huh. This is admittedly it's given me a lot to ponder. Stage hands, stars, constellations, cases, detective, phantom thieves. Oh, phantom thieves. Are
Yeah,
you
you're
after
gonna want to
one?
watch out for those. They're
Are you after?
pains in the neck.
I see.
Technically, I don't have a phantom thief to be the rival of. I'm sort of not even really an accessory. I caught one once. I couldn't arrest him, so I had to let him go. But yeah. But I've taken up a lot of your time. I should probably get back home and
Oh
see
God,
if I can
yes.
finish this case. But
Well,
it's been really nice to
yes.
meet you and having a cool look at the constellations and stuff.
Yeah. I
If you ever
hope
have somebody come in here and ask for like help that our agency can help with, you can always point them in our direction. Now that you've got our card.
yeah. I feel like at this point they have like a sudden realization. There's like, ah, if more detectives come and visit me, they're also going to ask, am I? Oh. Oh, that. Oh. They don't fully vocalize what they're thinking about, but they just kind of nod. All right then. I see. I will keep that in my mind. And oh, they look back up at the gecko, which has slowly creeped across the ceiling. I'm sorry, but you might have to go because I have to turn off the light and look outside. I think it's been a bit.
That's
I
fine.
don't. Yeah, I don't know if you'll answer me. The gecko does not answer, for it is a gecko. And they're just like, okay, don't get mad if I take away as he slowly lifts the crystal away, the gecko suddenly skitters down a tent like, oh, and they drop the crystal and all the stars go poof and the gecko is gone and the cantrip is dismissed and they're just like, okay,
Oh, yep. That sounds
what?
like him.
I I see. I'm going to hope that, well, actually, I don't know, a small gecko friend might be nice. There was a gecko in a desert once that followed me for a little bit. But yes, it is probably getting dark, which ironically is probably the one time when I'm most active. I just kind of sleep in mornings, but I guess the bit part of when your business is also your home. But yes, you should. Has this helped your case at all?
I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to think clearer on it when I get home. We'll see.
That
Sometimes you can get really stuck at something and you need something to distract you from it before you can come back and look at it with a fresh viewpoint. So, who
yeah,
knows?
it's like it's kind of like connecting constellations. You find new ones
Yeah,
by
I
connecting
guess.
them differently.
Suppose
Huh?
so. But this
Suppose
has been
so.
fun. You
Well, that's
enjoy
yes.
your new spot. Hopefully you get
I
lots of people coming through, yeah?
I will. They do like a moment of coaching. I guess if that case, if I work here, then home is home, hotel, living place, people who allow me to hitch my tent. There's like a hotel on the outskirts of Villestown that has two fancy shaped buildings, kind of like a separated yin yang like thing. I guess that's where I pitch my tent when I sleep. Uh, they live there too. You're Killen, names. This is Red having trouble with names now.
It's all good.
That's where they show me it, and they're there, and you seem to know them, and if you want to visit them, you can always go and knock at the hotel doors. It's not a home, I
Oh,
but
well, home is
that's
what you make of it.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you should probably get going, but it takes like from here to there, maybe an hour. I don't know. I have to figure out by walking back. But yes, I will take that into advice. I will return the phone and I will send this business card thing. I will figure out something
Great.
and try to figure out business cards and maybe then things will work better.
Sounds
And
good to
I,
me.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
thank,
Well, it's been
thank you so
fun.
much.
No, thank you.
And he's going to get up and he's going to step outside of the tent. And I'm going to roll a d2 for how he makes his departure.
All right.
Nope, not a 22, a 2. Okay, cool.
All right.
Is Lousijan going to watch Rye leave? Or just stay in the tent?
I think they'll watch them leave. They're not like always huddled in their tent, so they'll probably like step out a little bit to see them off.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, is this like a perception?
Yeah, you can roll a perception.
Well, I guess the better thing would it pass? Do I need to in this particular
if
case?
you've got passive, that's fine. Okay, that's not another fumble. Great.
Well,
Okay.
my passive is 21.
Perfect.
So
Easy.
what happens?
So you see this kid leave your tent and he steps out of the park and you can see him kind of have this little pondering expression on his face, look up at the sky a little bit. and then frown, and then he ruffles around in his coat and he pulls out a key, and you can see him cross the road onto the other side of the street from the park to one of the shops there, and he sticks the key in the lock, turns it, and then pulls the door open. And you can see through the doorway that doesn't look like the inside of a shop. It actually kind of looks like it's opening out onto a street. There are more houses in there, and like a dark kind of a horizon with a black sky covered in stars. And he just sort of steps through and pulls the door shut, and he's gone.
There's this sound. I guess since he's not there, I'll translate this as celestial of equivalent celestial of what the hell, but more polite. And they turn around, and they're like, look back. They walk up to the store, and they look at it, and they look through the keyhole.
It looks just like a regular shop in there.
And they like they ponder. They're like, was that a spell? But no, it was a key. They didn't cast magic. But they that there's a key. That's not how teleportation works. This is a magic item? What? And they're just like, they're standing there for a bit. Oh my god, the nails! And they rush back to their tent. And that's, I think, is how we're probably going to end it.
Well, I do have one last thing for you as you're making sure that all the nails have been picked up.
Yeah.
Raya's left something else in your tent.
Oh?
There is a little neat pile of 10 gold pieces.
What? Hello? When did that... Lousijan looks at the 10 gold pieces, confused because they were pretty certain when they stepped out of the tent they were not there. And they look back and they're just like... In Celestial, they're like, what the... How did they do that? Their voice... I guess for the outside of the character, their voice does deepen a little bit when they say this. And they pick it up. Is it real?
It's real.
10 gold. I guess I will. I guess they did. I guess I did kind of. I did kind of take up their time. Okay then. They kind of like pick up the gold. They put it with the rest of their meager gold, which is at the moment only 10. You have literally doubled this man's investment. and they're just like, okay. And they make sure they have all the nails, kind of like wrap them up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they just sit in the tent for a little bit in the darkness, just looking up and having
A moment.
at least a moment. A moment. That's the word, a moment. They're having a moment now. They've been paid for services, and they did not expect to be paid for services. They're having a big moment.
Well, that's all I've got now.
I see. Well, thank you for taking time out of your morning, I believe. I know your time zone.
Yep.
Thank you very much for...
No, this was a hoot. Thank you. And to everyone listening later, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. I hope to... I guess hopefully we'll see what Lousijan gets up to next. Lousijan and our good old friend here.